Hi, how are you today? It's so nice to be back. Um, I have had some things in my life, as some of you have known. I had been dealing with cancer, and luckily, I got my last report was that there was no cancer seen, so that's great with my bladder cancer. Had some other personal things going on in my life, so I've been a little off the radar for a bit, and hoping life is smoothing out and can get back into the swing of things here. So I'm really excited today to be back doing a live. And it's in my recent work. I mean, this happens a lot, but recently this has come up quite a bit. The idea of how important it is to take responsibility for your own practice and improvement. Um, the dedication to learning and practice is in your control, but oftentimes, and I just actually got off a call with a professional that I work with one-on-one, and she was bringing up this with the student that the student isn't learning, progressing so much, and kind of keeps doing the same things. And the idea is, I talked to her about it's really in their control. They're the ones who have to take control of it. No matter how much as an instructor we tell them to change something, it's ultimately your job as a rider and as a student to improve and to make changes, and to, if you have a habit that you're struggling with changing, to work diligently and work through it and understand it, what's going on, and work through changes. So um, it really does require a huge commitment to learning and practice. And I'm seeing that I have a typo here, but that it is what it is. Sorry about that. But it requires learning and practice. So if you're wanting to improve and you want success, it's the key element to success. You can learn all these other magical things, but if you don't put the work in, then you're not going to improve. It's just as easy as that. Certainly to some people things come easier. Maybe they don't have to work as hard, but ultimately, if you don't put the work in, um, the success it has to come from your commitment to wanting to learn new things, to wanting to study, and then to take all that and practice it and keep honing your skills and keep wanting to improve and keep going, even though you're struggling, going, if I have this struggle, I'm going to go out and learn something about it, about what's going on, and try to figure it out and try to learn more about things and try to improve by many different ways. So, what are the different ways? What are some of the ways you can explore? And what are some of the key aspects of learning? In riding, and this is true with everything, but specifically in riding, that you can do. Number one is you can learn as much study, as much about writing technique, um, through reading, through videos, through watching other people ride, and in lessons, to going to horse shows and watching, when you're at a show and watching others ride, and go to watch the best ride and watch those who aren't successful ride, and see who's doing, what, look at what's working and what isn't, and really look at it with an open mind and an open eyes, so that you see what's happening and study and really and watch. And we're so lucky nowadays. I mean, when I was a kid, there weren't all those videos out there that I could watch. If I wanted to really learn from the best, I had to go to a big horse show. Like I was blessed to have my mom take me to Madison Square Garden, and we'd go to the show once a year, and that would be a big thing, or I'd have to learn when I was showing at other shows by watching others. And you guys have at your fingertips all these videos and lessons, video lessons, and access to the internet, and access to all sorts of articles and everything to learn those technical aspects. And then also to learn about horse behavior and understand the being that you're working with, and understand how they operate, and understand the biomechanics around horses, and how and your biomechanics too, like your body, how their bodies work, how your bodies work, how you move, how they move, how everything works together, and really be a student of that. It's really important, because when you can understand those things, then you can start understanding why things are working or why things aren't. And also be a student of yourself. So if you have some mental blocks or some things, getting in your way, work through understanding what's going on with that, and improving. What can you do to improve around that? Understanding mindset blocks, and how the mind works and how the brain works, and how you can, you know, improve things, and change habits, and all of that. And that's, what I do. That's my, well, I actually should say I do a lot of these things, because I teach riding technique. I teach riders about horses and their behavior, and biomechanics and all that as well. But the big part of what I do now is taking all of that and then combining the mindset aspect, because it's so important. So understanding that, and working with a coach if you're struggling and not sure what to do, because that's a way to learn. Working with coaches and working with teachers and trainers, and all different parts of these areas. And then learning from your mistakes, understanding that, when mistakes happen, instead of getting upset with yourself, and that kind of gets into the mindset part of it, is to learn from your mistakes. So when you have a mistake and you go to a horse show and you have something that goes really wrong, go back and don't go, woe is me. Maybe you lick your wounds for a moment, but not much. And you go, really, what happened? How can I prevent that the next time? If you have a video of your ride, go back and study that video in detail. So you have videos of yourself too. Study and study and study them, and see where you're making mistakes, and see where you can improve, and compare those videos to other riders, and to see where there's the places that you can improve and do like other riders do. Watch some of the top riders and see what they're doing. But really learn from those mistakes, and then go back and try to correct them. And if it works, then go, oh, that worked. I figured it out. Trial and error is another thing. When you're practicing, try new things, test things out, so that you start, and then saying, oh, that worked, that didn't. So that you start really learning from trying and doing, and being a student of the horse, a student of life, a student of, of riding. So you're always being a student. So it's continuous learning. It's in Eastern philosophies, it's not just, you learn something and that's it. You're always a beginner. They talk about beginner's mind. The master is like the beginner. And the master has gone through that cycle of learning where they're not, an intermediate learner or a novice learner thinking they know it all. They realize they know nothing, and they're always learning. There's always more to learn. So always, feeling like that you're not an endpoint to learning, that you always want to be studying and researching, and then practicing it, not just learning it, but putting it to work. So not just, being a student is wonderful, but not just being a student, but practice it and practice it and practice it until it gets better, and keep honing those skills. I talked about, having like tools in a tool set. And when you first are a carpenter, you learn how to, hammer nails, and use a screwdriver, and put in screws, and all different types of nails and all different types of screws. And you bend a lot of nails and make a lot of mistakes. And you just keep honing those skills until you get better, and you know which is the right thing to use at the right time, and how to use it, and that and such. Then you go on to learning the bigger and better thing. Then you get more tools in your toolbox, and buy the electric drills and the electric nail guns and stuff. But you want to start just working with things, and committing to practicing and honing those skills with the basics, and then building and building and building from there, and learning all the time. And just remembering that all of this is in your power. This is a quote I love from the Wizard of Oz. It's you've always had the power, my dear. You just had to learn it for yourself. So the power is in you to do this. So when you're struggling and thinking, oh man, I just went to the horse show and had a terrible ride, and it was just a terrible weekend, or my lesson was awful, and get rid of that, like, woe is me hat, so to speak, and empower yourself to know that you can do this. You can, make that commitment to, well, what went wrong? Where can I learn from this? What do I need to do? Where do I need to go to study more? Where are those places to do that? Because as instructors, this instructor I was talking to earlier, she was frustrated with the fact that the student she's working with isn't taking that commitment, making that commitment to learning. So as instructors, we get really frustrated. It's like, okay, I keep telling you to do this, but nothing changes. And there's a point where your instructor is going to kind of lose in the enthusiasm for working with you if you're not going to put in that work yourself. So you want to, really make that commitment. Don't just sit there hoping, someone's going to teach you what to do and you just have to kind of go along for the ride. It does take work, and it's a responsibility that you have to take on. And that's in anything you do in life, right? I mean, that's how you get better with everything in life, right? And if you approach things with a positive mindset of open mind of an excited mind of learning and embracing mistakes, and that's how I'm going to learn, and soaking up stuff like a sponge, like I want to learn more and more and more about things. And if it didn't work, I'm going to go back and study videos, read books, watch riding lessons, watch at horse shows when I'm not riding, all those things. Then you're going to get better. And that's how you're going to do it. It's not going to happen magically. You've got to put in the work. So that's kind of my little soapbox for the week. It's come up a few times, once with someone I'm working with recently, and then, once today with this client I was working with, who's struggling with someone she's teaching. But it comes up a lot. It's something that, I've had come up regularly in my years of teaching. So it's really important for you to take on that responsibility and take it on with embrace it and with joy that the idea of learning is so exciting. And if there is an area you're struggling with, and if the mindset stuff is something that you're struggling with, please feel free to contact me at lisa@mindfulquestioning.com and to learn about more on how we could work together if you're interested. But just, in review, remembering that you have the power to learn, you have the power to improve, you have the power to make that commitment to getting better. I mean, it's really your choice to become a better rider, become better at anything you want to do. It's your choice to put in the work and to study and research and then apply everything and keep practicing and learning from your mistakes. So go out there and get practicing and have a wonderful day. It's been great to get back to see everybody. Take care.